Hello, today we're going to be working on preparing a basic handout. We are going to follow some different steps to prepare it. So we will include a heading with page numbers. We will copy paste information from the internet. We will number the lines in a text. We will use columns. We will organize elements in alphabetical order. We will add a picture and a glossary. For this, you will need Microsoft Word or a similar program. Though, if you use a similar program, I cannot guarantee that you are going to be able to do what we are going to be doing with the handout, and I cannot guarantee that even if you can, all the tabs and all the icons are going to be in the same place. You will also need internet access. As you can see, this is Microsoft Word. Mine is in Spanish, but it makes no difference. The tabs and the icons are going to be in the same place if you have it in English. The very first thing that we are going to do is we are going to include a heading with page numbers. For that, we are going to come to Insert. We are going to come here where it says page number, and you can include it at the beginning or at the end. I prefer to include it at the very beginning, and I prefer to include it on the center, because then I can write information here, like in this case my name, which is very important that you include the name of the creator of the handout, in this case yours. And then I press the space bar so that I have information on the left and information on the right. Then you could, for example, come to the right of the number. Here you press enter, you delete that extra space, and you can write that this is unit 1, for example, and then you can double click on any place on the page outside the heading, and notice that if I go to a different page, I'm going to have the same information that I wrote, but the number is going to change. And I like to have all my handouts in just one Word document, because then I can tell my students that we were working on Unit 1 and Handout 1, or if they have any questions about Handout 2 of Unit 1, and they can ask me questions about Handout 4 in Unit 1, 2, and so on and so forth. So it's very useful to be more organized. Now, we are going to copy paste some information from the internet. We are going to copy a text, and for that I am going just to write the instructions, which are going to be very simple. Something like read the text below, and of course your instructions should be better than this. This is just an example. We are going to go online, and I already have a text that I want to use for this part. It's about testing, it's about evaluation, and there are several ways of doing to do this, and I'm going to show you two, but honestly I prefer the second one more than the first one. For this, you are going to press the left button of the mouse wherever you want to start selecting the text, and you're going to go up, and notice how it turns blue. That means that you're choosing that part. Now you can right click on the mouse and you can choose copy, but what I like to do is I do the same thing again, right click on the mouse, drag up, and then I press Ctrl C, which tells the computer that I want to copy that section. I go back to Word, and again I have several options. I could right click on the mouse and choose paste. I could press Ctrl V, which means paste. But in this case, since I'm copying from the internet, notice that if I paste it just like that, this is going to be with Calibri 11, which is the default font used by Word, but the text is going to be in Times New Roman 12. Now I prefer Times New Roman 12, but if I copy paste from different pages online, then I'm going to have a lot of different formats, and that's not convenient. So to delete that, I'm going to come here where it says paste. I'm going to choose paste special, and I'm going to choose text without format, and I'm going to accept. And notice that Word is deleting all the format that this text had, and it's giving us, let's say, a text without format that is easier to modify later. And of course we need to include where we took the information from. Again, notice that I press Ctrl C and I press Ctrl V, and I have it there. Notice that in this case it's already given me Calibri 11, otherwise I would have to go to paste and paste special. Another thing that might happen is that since you have a web page here, if you press enter, the hyperlink will be restored. If you want to delete it, right click on it and choose remove hyperlink, and don't press enter again or it will come back. Now we are going to number the lines on the text. You can choose the text that you want to have with numbers, and you're going to come to page design. You choose line numbers, you choose continuous, and notice that the only problem is that we have it all over. Something else, you can come here and you can choose to have Roman numerals or other ways to signal each line. If you don't want to have lines here, as it is my case, you select that section, you come back here and you choose delete from current paragraph, and you do the same thing here. You select the parts or the sections where you don't want to have numbers and you choose delete from current paragraph. I notice that only this section is going to have lines, and again this is very useful because you can tell your students to examine the grammar on line 4, to check the word on line 7, and they can tell you I didn't understand the word on line 11, and then you're going to save time. Now we are going to use some columns, and there are many ways why you would like to use columns. Actually, you can do this numbering with columns, but it takes more time, and 95% of the times it's not convenient for different reasons. We are going to insert columns, and the main idea here is to have a matching exercise. So I'm going to write the instructions, which of course in your case it should be better than this. I'm just inventing something. And those are the instructions. Now I'm going to insert the table, and because I want them to match definitions with words, I'm going to have 4 definitions and 3 words. So I'm going to choose 4 spaces here. Okay, and here you cannot see it, but here I have the words and the definitions that we are going to be using, and they are from the text. Okay, so notice that this definition goes with this word, this one with this one, and so on and so forth. This definition matches no word, and it's just a distractor. Now I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to put the words together. There are 2 ways of doing this. Again, you can double click on the word with the left button of the mouse, and you can just press the left button of the mouse and drag it. Or you could choose the word again by double clicking on it, press Ctrl X and then Ctrl V. Okay, and here we have the definitions. Now what I want you to do is you're going to choose the words, you're going to come here to the first tab, and you're going to choose this icon that says order. You choose that one. You don't have really to modify anything here, but later if you want to experiment you can do it. You press accept, and it's going to organize everything in alphabetical order, and you can now write it in alphabetical order over here. Notice that I'm going to have an extra space here, and you might want to do the same thing with the definitions. Now we don't know in what order they are, and as you might know, then there is no bias in the creation of the item. Okay, something like that. Now of course here you might want to add numbers or letters, and again here you might want to have write capital letters, not to confuse it with the first letter here there, and so on and so forth. And again you might want to have parentheses over here. If you don't like parentheses not to be in line, something else that you could do is you could select this part, and notice the arrow there. You choose it by left clicking on the mouse. You press the right button of the mouse and you can choose insert columns to the right, and then you can move this a bit, and you might have the parentheses there. Then you can choose the parentheses and you can Ctrl C copy, Ctrl V paste, Ctrl C copy, and so on and so forth. Well, actually this should go to the right in this case. Actually, I guess that to be fair with the item, we're going to, and you can write here definitions. I'm sorry, here you can write words, and here you can write definitions, and here you might have again one parenthesis. And notice that some people recommend that you should have the definitions here or the words there, but in this moment I'm not paying attention to that. Now here I'm going to choose the table, and if you're using the same word I'm using, you can come here to design and you can choose borders without borders. And notice that when you print it, the borders are there. You can still move some of the lines here if you want to do, but that is not necessary in this moment. But you can also do this by selecting again the whole table. You right click on the mouse, you choose properties, you come to borders and you choose none, or you can choose all or just the outside part, whatever. In this case I'm going to choose none. I notice that there then I have the matching exercise that I want to have, or something similar. This of course needs more work and more organization, but I just want you to see the format. Now we are going to add a picture, and again I have one from the internet, which is from a blog that is also dedicated to evaluation. And you right click on the image and you copy it. There is no shortcut for this part. Then make sure that you go out of the table, otherwise it could be a bit difficult to work with the image. You press Ctrl V again for pasting it, and if you are using the word that I'm using, when the image is there, notice that it went to the next page. I'm going to select the image and I'm going to come to format, and I'm going to choose here text adjustment, and I'm going to choose in front of the text. That's the one I use the most. I notice that the image now you can move it, but it's going to be in front of the text all the time. You can also might want to have it behind, and there are different options, but this is the one I use the most. And I'm going to choose this just for decoration purposes, so it doesn't really matter. I'm going to make it smaller. Oh, and again, if you don't have the same word I'm using, you choose the image, you right click on the image, you go to format, or here you can choose in front of the text. But if you go to format, you're also going to have different elements that you can play with, which right now they are really not important. You can just choose here the alignment of the image, and again I'm gonna leave it there, but I might want to add again the source I took it from, and I'm just gonna choose the blog, not everything, and you could just have it there. I pressed Ctrl V and I posted there, but it doesn't look very nice over there, right? What I like to do is I like to have it somewhere near the image, and for that I choose a form or a shape. You can choose the one that you prefer, it doesn't really matter. I am going to insert it here, and I right click on the image and I choose add text, and now I can write, but I don't want to write. I again want to copy paste, Ctrl X, Ctrl V, and now I'm gonna want to have it a bit smaller, and you could have it here, for example, maybe a bit bigger. And something else you could do, maybe if you want to have it here because you don't have space or something, you could just, when you choose it, notice that when you choose it you can come here and it says the direction of the text. In this case you'll have to play with the size, but you could have it in a different format. If you don't have space horizontally, you might have space vertically, or vice versa. And I say vice versa because you can also have it like that. So there are like 3 different ways in which you might have it. Okay, now sometimes I just move this here. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to add a glossary, and for that you will have to, I don't know, you choose a word, any word, for example test, you come to references, and once you come here it says insert footnote. You click there, and then notice that here we have a number, and here we have the same one, and let's say that this is a test, is an exam, mainly speaking. Roughly speaking, that's what we have there. Now sometimes actually you might not like maybe the way it looks, but you can choose to have it, I don't know, with different numbers at the end of the document, at the end of the section. I prefer to have it at the end of the document, but if you want to have it at the end of the section, that's possible. Now let's imagine that we want to have, I don't know, any other word, maybe university. Then we do the same thing, we come to references, we write insert, and then we can write universities similar to a college, and so on and so forth. Of course, you don't have to include the words that we have here because those are for matching. But this is a very quick way to have different elements in the handout. Of course, there are more things you can do. This handout needs a lot of work, but these are just some examples for you to use with your handouts. Thank you.